5, 6, 7 up. Hey, everybody. Let's give everybody a few minutes to gather. It's always exciting to click and then see all of a sudden there's a whole gang of people in here. It's amazing. Thanks, guys. I don't know if I like this lighting tonight. Probably leave it right there. That's a little better. Hey, Shirley, how are you? Shirley's the first to comment. Glad to have you, Shirley. Lindsay, I see you, Lindsay. Vicky's in the house. Pauline, Katrina from Colorado. Dante, I see you, fam. Hey, Amy, glad you could be here. Joven over on YouTube. Kay is in the house. The Midwest is in the house. Kyra is in the house. Looks like Summer from the UK. Hey, a fellow Masshole is in the house. Massachusetts in the house. Anna's in the house. Chad, Facebook is in the house. Jonathan Myers, I see you, player. Jackie, great. Hey, everybody, take a few minutes and share the stream for me. If you're on YouTube, click that like button. Well, I mean, click the like button wherever you are. I made some amazing tea tonight. This is some kind of like organic peach, but I squeezed some lemon in it, and it's the bomb. It's killing. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to download all my media, so let me do that. I have a whole folder full of media that we're going to go through with Amy, Coney, Barrett, and the confirmation hearings today. We got to talk about it. As much as I get tired, I really do get tired of talking politics because of the nature of American politics. We talked about that extensively on Saturday night. Kind of a bonus stream that we did on Saturday night. It was definitely, it was refreshing. And I talked about how politics is necessary. So we always start our episodes covering the news because what's going on, the only way we can change what's going on is if we understand the games that are being played on us. There are a lot of games that are being played on us. One of the games that I want to talk about today is the game of Republicans trying to keep us from discussing Amy Coney Barrett's religious fundamentalism. Because let me tell you something. Does anybody in the audience honestly believe that if Amy Coney Barrett was Muslim, that they would not be talking about her religion and the possibility of her religious fundamentalism? See, they treat religious fundamentalism from Islam as the greatest threat to humanity, but they don't see the religious fundamentalism from Christianity as the greatest. That's because they're Christian fundamentalists. And they want to have a Christian fundamentalist America, right? That's what they want. So Donald Trump. Oh, you can always count on Donald Trump to take a show that I didn't want to do and make it even worse. I don't even want to talk about Amy Coney Barrett, but now I got to talk about Donald Trump at this rally. So everybody keep sharing while I keep pulling together all my media that I was supposed to download before I started the show, but I kind of got ahead of myself. Where's everybody else from, by the way? I'm going to throw some more names up on the window, on the screen. Anybody from Chicago in the house? Here we go. Cool. I see you guys. California's in the house. LA is in the house. Is that Louisiana or Los Angeles, Marcos? No, I didn't hear the music. New Jersey's in the house. Periscope's on the house. Twitter, Fabucat. Hey, good to see you here. I always see you on Twitter. It's good to see you on the stream. Right. Jerry says she wouldn't be up there if she was a Muslim fundamentalist. She would not possibly be up there, right? But if she managed to get to the nomination, I mean, let's think about that. Let's talk about the fact that it's almost all but a foregone conclusion that it's not even remotely possible for a Muslim fundamentalist, an Islamic fundamentalist, to get a nomination, right? But if they did, you know full well that we'd be talking about the nature of that fundamentalism. Full stop. But yet the game that Republicans are trying to play is, oh, you can't talk about her religion because of religious freedom. They only see religious freedom in this country as being something that is relegated to Christianity. And I say that confidently as a Christian. They and they don't even consider my type of, they think my type of Christianity is the black devil Jesus. Literally. We had somebody say that to us before, to a friend of mine before this year, not back in the day, like this year. So it's a very specific type of Christianity that serves their political power, that serves whiteness. And that is the only religious freedom that they want to work for, because they actively work against the religious freedom of people of other faiths, particularly Islam. So that's just, we're going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to get these files. I'm done downloading them. Now I got to unzip them, open them up, and boom, I've got my whole show here. Thank you to my producers for getting us ready. I'm going to put up this first clip. We might shuffle around a little bit because apparently Donald Trump just got done being a moron in Florida. So I have some clips of that. So let's go there. Here's Trump in Florida.
A plan to eliminate U.S. borders. Oh, that's wonderful. Where's our border? We don't have one. Just come in, everybody. Come on in. Come on in, everybody. If you're a murderer, if you're a rapist, if you're very, very sick with a disease that can spread all over, just come on in. Now, we're up to almost 400 miles of wall. Nobody talks about that anymore.
Okay, the irony of this, right? The irony of this is staggering. Can I play this again? And I want you to listen to something he said, key, about people coming in sick with their disease, spreading it everywhere. That's rich. That's rich coming from Donald Trump. So here we go. Let's watch that again and listen for that particular line.
A plan to eliminate U.S. borders. Oh, that's wonderful. Where's our border? We don't have one. Just come in, everybody. Come on in. Come on in, everybody. If you're a murderer, if you're a rapist, if you're very, very sick with a disease that can spread all over, just come on in. Now, we're up to almost 400 miles of wall. Nobody talks about that
anymore. A man who is sick with COVID-19, literally spreading it across the country, they are there celebrating him, right? But the way he attacks immigrants is to say that they're bringing disease. Now, here's the irony of it. I want you to keep this in front of you the entire night. Here's the irony of this, is while he's using these racist tropes about immigrants coming into this country, bringing their diseases, he's literally the one spreading the diseases, spreading this virus, right? While his followers, I want you to get this in your head and always repeat this, while his followers routinely like to present themselves as being red-pilled or woke, and more specifically, they like to refer to us as sheep. They are literally the ones being led to the slaughter with this, with Donald Trump spreading his diseases that he's now blaming on other people. It's the amount of absurdity is so unbelievable, but it's worthwhile. I need you to always see that this is the level of hypocrisy and absurdity and just ridiculousness that they want to engage in, because they have to engage in it, because otherwise they absolutely have no substance. All right, so that was the first clip. Take a listen to this second clip from, this one is even worse. Take a listen.
But if you want to get out there, get out. One thing with me, the nice part, I went through it. Now they say I'm immune. I feel so powerful. I'll walk into that audience. I'll walk in there. I'll kiss everyone in that audience. I'll kiss the guys and the beautiful women and everybody. I'll just give you a big fat kiss. No, but there is something nice. I don't have to be locked up in my basement, and I wouldn't allow that to happen anyway. I wouldn't allow it to happen.
This is America, right? This is supposed to be the hopeful country, at least how they package it up, right? You and I both know better. We all know better that America has serious, deeply seated problems, right? But the way they wrap it up is that America is so grand and such a leader in the world. And here is our leader of the free world who is probably still COVID positive, right? Chances are he's still able to make other people contagious. Here's a possibility. Here's another possibility. Look, if he is cured this quickly, then I'm sorry, they need to get this medicine to everybody immediately. If Donald Trump is so healed that he's immune and that he's not infectious anymore, while he's talking about immigrants being infectious, if Donald Trump is so healed, then why is anybody dying? I know the president has medication and access that other people don't, but at this juncture, we need to be asking that question. I mean, hell, Chris Christie, like, you know, from one big guy to a guy who's about twice my size. That's one hell of a comorbidity that's killing a lot of other people. A lot of people are dying, but he's out of the hospital. So I want to know what they have that nobody else has. But something tells me that Donald Trump is still COVID positive. That's my belief. Let's take a listen in to more of the absurdity, if you will.
My leadership, we're delivering a safe vaccine and a rapid recovery like nobody can even believe. And if you look at our upward path, no country in the world has recovered the way we've recovered economically or otherwise. Not even close.
Let's play that one again.
My leadership, we're delivering a safe vaccine and a rapid recovery like nobody can even believe. And if you look at our upward path, no country in the world has recovered the way we've recovered economically or otherwise. Not even close.
I have no comment on that. I mean, ask the 45 million people who are without jobs right now. The only thing I will add, I have no doubt that Donald Trump would push and fast track a vaccine, have some scientists back it up, and that vaccinate, and all so that he could get it out before the election. And that vaccine will do more damage because it will not be effective enough, or the negative side effects. I guarantee you he would have a team of scientists who will go out there and say that this is the vaccine. They will start distributing it, and 100% will do more damage because it won't cover people. It won't give people the immunity that's necessary, but he will say that it will. Like I have no doubt in my mind that Donald Trump will pull something like that. None. He will give people a false sense of security, also that he can get a boost for this election. And many people will die. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. But we got to cover the BS. So here we go.
A few more months. We're doing 10 miles a day. And by the way, Mexico is paying. They hate to say it. Mexico is paying for it. And Mexico's been great. You know, Mexico has 27,000 of their soldiers on our border. And I said, you have to do that. Otherwise, we're going to have to charge you tariffs because we're not going to stand for it when people are pouring into and we have the worst laws because Congress over the years has made it so weak. If you're a soldier and you talk rudely to somebody, they end up giving you the electric chair. Okay? It's so horrible.
You know, goddamn electric chair.
27,000 soldiers we have. See, 27. Now, the electric chair comment, they'll put that. He's exaggerating. He shouldn't do that. They are sick people. But it is true. We have 27,000 Mexican soldiers guarding our border. And you know what? They don't play games. They don't let them through. And if they do let them through, we get very angry with Mexico. So Mexico's been great. The president of Mexico's been great. We're putting a border tax on for cars and trucks that go across. It'll much more than pay for our wall, starting soon. Remember when the old days?
Okay. Yeah, whatever, Trump. I just, no comment on that. I'm making you suffer the way I have to suffer. I'm sorry. But I just have to see all that he said at this conference, because at this rally, I mean, notwithstanding the fact that it is the height of absurdity to have these rallies. Let me play that last clip. I want to play this last clip again, because I want to take a look at how many people have on masks.
Few more months. We're doing 10 miles a day. And by the way, Mexico is paying. They hate to say it. Mexico is paying for it. And Mexico's been great. You know, Mexico has 27,000 of their soldiers on our border.
All right, we don't have to listen to him. I just want you to look at it. All right, let's look at it. Let's look to the left of him. Let's look at all the people without masks. There's a couple people there. The bad news for the people that are wearing masks there is that their mask is protecting the other people. So there's literally more than, I don't know, what do you say, about 70% of the crowd not wearing masks behind them. And I imagine it's probably the same in front of him. This is the only thing that really matters. Like, whatever Donald Trump says is immaterial, because he's a moron and he's a liar. He's a propagandist. He's going to say anything he can to get and maintain political power, no matter how destructive it is, no matter how much he undermines this country. He will say it. He will burn this country to the ground for the sake of his ego. Whatever he says, doesn't matter. Look at this crowd. This is in Sanford, Florida, really in central Florida area. Look at how packed it is. And look at how many people are not wearing masks. I feel bad for the people who are wearing masks, because they have a false sense of security. But the truth is their mask is protecting the many who aren't wearing any mask. What are the odds? What are the odds? You're like, look at this crowd. Somebody's going to contract COVID. It's almost a certainty that at least one person in this crowd is going to spread COVID to the people immediately around them. So there's going to be a handful of people who contract COVID-19. How many of them are going to die? I don't know. But what I do know is that handful of people are going to infect even more. And it's going to spread exponentially like it's been spreading. So we can expect in Sanford, Florida, and Central Florida area, because of this rally, it's all but a guarantee. It is all but a guarantee that there's going to be an uptick in the number of COVID-19 cases. Give it a week. Give it a week. All right, let's go. There's one more clip that I want to play, and then I'm going to shift to Dr. Anthony Fauci, and then we'll get to the confirmation hearings. This is the last clip from Donald Trump. Let's take a listen in. I turned it down.
I've been, I guess, 3 or 4, maybe.
Let's run it back.
In fact, a point that they didn't report, I've been, I guess, 3 or 4, maybe now. Nobel Peace Prizes, can you believe it? 4, 3. In fact, a point that they didn't report,
nobody's going to report that, man. Nobody's going to report. You didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. You lost. This man. Oh man, this man. This is why I hate covering politics. It's a necessary evil. It is a necessary evil because, well, if we ignore it, if we keep our minds. This is my 4th time starting this sentence. I'll get it right here. What I like to think about, what I like to discuss and talk about, are the lofty, kind of philosophical, esoteric, stargazing kind of things. I would much rather talk about the end of the universe and back again than the silliness and the frivolousness of our American politics. However, if all we do is talk about that, then we leave ourselves vulnerable to the machinations of politically disingenuous people, Machiavellian people here on this earth. So we have to talk about it. As ridiculous as Donald Trump is, and every one of us seeing this clip, we understand how pathetically ridiculous this man is. The truth of the matter is that his servants, right? I was going to say his supporters, but servants came out. His servants 100% crave. They crave this. They need these lies. They need this red meat. They need these distortions, these half-truths. They need the fact that he's going to feed them and fuel them with all of the hate-filled bigotry that and they are accepting in exchange for his lies and his twofold. The lies and the propaganda that Donald Trump gives them helps them to maintain their worldview that is completely absurd and asinine, right? It is a worldview that if they ever had it challenged, it starts to fall apart. So it's not just that Donald Trump is feeding them propaganda. It's the fact that they actively want that propaganda. They need that propaganda. They need that hermetically sealed bubble to keep reassuring them that what they believe is right. Because if they ever get outside of that hermetically sealed bubble, they will be inundated with how ridiculous they really are. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Usually you see, like in dystopia novels and books and films, you usually see a dictator forcing down the propaganda down the throats of their supporters or their minions, their followers, their subjects. It's different in this day. This is why I want to show you these clips. As you hear Donald Trump, you realize that this is just pathetic. This is ridiculous. Who could believe this? You know who could believe this? The people who need to believe it. They need these lies. They need this propaganda so that they could come in the chat room and call you a sheep. And they could come in the chat room while we're doing this live stream and tell you that whatever lie Donald Trump has told them to reassure them. Right? They need to be able to regurgitate propaganda like a laundry list. They need to be able to fight back on social media. So they want leaders like Donald Trump who will lie to them. The big difference between what's happening now in our actual dystopia and what Orwell wrote in 1984 is that I don't think he actually predicted or could see that it wouldn't be the subjects. It wouldn't be that the subjects were so brainwashed through force. It was that the subjects were brainwashed through their own choice. They want these lies. Trumpers, they want the propaganda. They want the half-truths. They want the misinformation. They want it because they need it in order to win their own line fights on social media. So it's reversed. Because I tell you this, if Donald Trump ever stops feeding them these lies, they will look to somebody else to feed it to them. Fox News got them hooked. Over the last 25 years, Fox News got them hooked on a steady supply of propaganda that allowed them to live in this fanciful world of flights of fantasy that tells them that conservatism is the truth. Right? That's what Fox News got them hooked on, that like heroin. And Donald Trump just came with a pure cut. He just came and gave them a pure cut. And what do you think they're going to do if their supply cuts off? You think they're just going to be like, okay, now we can hear the truth? No, they're going to go find the next propagandist that's going to help them get that high, that's going to help them maintain their worldview. So I don't want you to watch these videos and see victims in the audience. I want you to watch these videos and see addicts in the audience. They are addicted to conservative propaganda and whoever can serve it up in the most malicious and malevolent and cruel fashion imaginable. All right, got some other videos here, but let's take a second and see and recognize you all. I see you guys over on Twitch. Twitch is there. They all drink the Kool-Aid for sure. Yeah. It is. Marcy over on Facebook says she hates the 24-hour news cycle. It is. It is rooted in rooted in the 24-hour news cycle. Now I would be negligent if I didn't tell you that there's the similar traits on our side, right? There's similar traits on our side. There's similar predilections on our side. However, what we're fighting for is so fundamentally different, we can worry about that another time. Okay? They're fighting to restrict your rights. They define liberty as how they can limit your liberty, whether they have the authority and the power to control your freedoms. That's how they define freedoms. Case in point, they feel as if they are being oppressed if they cannot overturn Roe versus Wade. They feel like they're being oppressed if they cannot overturn Obergefell versus Hodges. They feel like they are oppressed because they are not able to stop you from living the life that you want to live, and they are not able to impose on you their own beliefs. Okay? When they are not able to impose on your liberty, they feel like their liberty has been attacked. That's why when they say any legislation that is religious liberty, religious protection, what they're aiming for is the ability to actively weaponize their religion in and through legislation for the purposes of controlling you. So we're dealing with a group of people who literally define their freedom by how they can control you. They define their liberty by how many liberties of yours they can control. So while we do have some of the I think it's a human predilection. I think it's a human phenomenon that we all seek confirmation bias. We all seek information that confirms what we suspected or what we already previously believed. That's a natural inclination for everybody, and we do it. Like MSNBC feeds liberals to a certain extent, just like Fox News feeds conservatives. But what we're fighting for is so fundamentally different, we can't reasonably equate the two. There's similarities, but we can't equate the two because they are fighting to dominate our lives. And they define their freedom based on how they can dominate our lives. And we're fighting to say, no, we're equal. If you're free to practice your religion, I'm free to practice my religion. If you're free to marry whatever consenting adult you choose, I should be able to marry whatever consenting adult I choose. If you're free to do what you want to with your body and nobody can dictate to you what you could do to your body, if no one is going to force hysterectomies on you, then how are you going to dictate to a woman what they could do with their body? So while we do have, and I think it's a human inclination, it's in us naturally to seek that same type of confirmation bias and to run to people who tell us what we want to hear, which is something that I am preeminently concerned about. I'm extremely concerned about on the left and in the liberal circles. I'm concerned that we're more interested in hearing what people have to say if it confirms what we want to hear. I'm concerned about that, but there is absolutely no comparison in terms of the outcomes that we seek. because there's a fundamental difference in the outcomes that we seek, there could be no comparison. I know I've said it 5 times, but I'm going to say it one more time for dramatic effect. What we seek is freedom and autonomy and liberty, both religious freedom, both marriage equality. We seek that, an expansion of who this Constitution applies to. We seek to expand that. We're not only dealing with people who want to control and limit who gets the freedoms defined in the Constitution. Their very definition of freedom is in their freedom to control you. That's the difference between what we're fighting for. All right, let's keep it rolling. It is control. Very simply put, control. Northern Man on YouTube said Trump supporters take it that extra edge when they don't agree with something. That's what makes them, a good portion of them, extremists. Yeah. Disagree. See, we came through a phase where we thought that we could all agree to disagree. We thought that we all could be civilized. We thought that even though we vehemently disagree, that we would at least fight for each other's rights to speak it and live their own truth, so long as it didn't infringe on someone else's right. That's what we thought. That's not good enough for conservatism. Conservatism is not satisfied with the case in point. They won in 2016. They got the Senate in 2012, so they already had the Senate. No, 2010, they got the Senate. So when they came into power, they had the House, the Senate. And when Donald Trump came to power, they had the House, the Senate, and the White House. So they could enact through legislation what they wanted. It wasn't enough for them to give themselves the biggest tax break that we've seen damn near since Ronald Reagan, right? The Paul Ryan's baby back in 2017. That wasn't enough. They were angry. They marched through the streets. They weren't satisfied with the political power that they had gathered. They wanted to dominate people's lives. So it's never enough for them to disagree with us, win political office, rewrite laws to their nope. Because they're angry that you got rights in the first place. They are literally furious that you have the right to marry who you want to marry. And they're not going to stop until they roll that back. They are bloody enraged that you have the autonomy to do what you wish with your body. It wasn't enough for them to win and say, well, here's a base set of rights that we're going to respect for everybody. No. They have to control you. And if they can't control you and put you in your place, this is what Amy Coney Barrett is going to do. She's going to help undo the entirety of the 20th century. Labor laws. I mean, I went way too far. She's going to start with Obamacare. And then she's going to hit Obergefell versus Hodges, the marriage equality decision. Then they're going to hit Roe versus Wade. Then they're going to hit labor laws. Then they're going to hit Voting Rights Act. They're going to, because every single law that we pass expanding our rights enraged them because they can no longer control us. Conservatism is 100% about controlling your life. Andrea said, I can't with that handmade. Talking about Amy Coney Barrett. Yo, this tea I made was absolutely bananas. It's no caffeine, so I'm going to make me another one before the night is over. But it's peach and lemon tea. Fresh lemon. It is off the charts. All right, let's get to some super chats. Let's get to some of these comments from Twitch. We got a lot of comments, a lot of feedback. Let's go here. Is that today? That's today. What is today's date? Today is the 12th. All right. Charles Wilson said, thank you for all the love. Apologies for the late response driving. I watched Nova and Cosmos as a kid, still do. One of the reasons I fell in love with astronomy. Now that's from the other night, but I wanted to read that one because I didn't get it in. There's a couple that I didn't get in from Saturday night, and I want to make sure that we get them all in. Here we go. Gio Francois said, why is dude wearing some... That's from earlier today, too. Hang on. I'm looking for the marker. Where is the big marker? Asking why am I wearing sunglasses? I ain't got on sunglasses, Gio Francois. Here we go. Shout out to Pauline Hedron. Thank you for subscribing with Prime. We missed you over the weekend, but we're getting it in now. Thank you so much. Yummy Mommy subscribed on Twitch. Thank you very much. Riskin Verse, thank you for subscribing on Twitch. BB Tanya subscribed or gifted 1 month on Twitch. Thank you so much. H.G. Wells gifted someone a subscription on Twitch. Jim Grill subscribed with Prime. Thank you. Half Brit, subscribe with Prime. Thank you very much. GG815, thank you for subscribing with Prime yesterday. Ashner, thank you for subscribing with Prime, or subscribing at tier 1 rather. Kalila 20, subscribe with Prime. MZ Sag 85, subscribe with Prime. Carpe Pax, rated our party. That was yesterday. I missed it. I'm sorry. All right, so I'll give that a shout out. We'll make sure that we give them some love. Here we go. This is the first super chat of the night. Ashley Wright on YouTube said, all my Central Florida people, please be safe. They were lined up for him at 6:30 this morning. The sun wasn't even up yet. Wow. Strictly Rockers said, BP Dixon, I tweeted your show out with my 62,000 Twitter followers. Well, I appreciate you. Make sure you send me a DM so we can connect. I want to make sure I'm following you. That's love. I appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. Ray Riley says, Ben, you are absolutely spot on. Trump supporters want and need his propaganda. The drug analogy is spot on. They are potentially worse targets for addiction after Trump. Absolutely. Zotar the Magnificent, that's a hell of a name, my friend, said 100% on the Fox News addiction, got them hooked on a 24/7 yes man to conservatism. Crazy Hawaiian PA gifted thank you for the gift of the sub. Galfer gave 2 subs. Four subs. Thank you for purchasing 4 subs and gifting them. Chambers saying, what's up to the comrades? Okay. A total of 4. Crazy Wine did a total of 4. Thanks so much for that. Mig 1977 is cheering. Adrian A says, why do I feel like you're talking directly to me tonight, Ben? It's because I am. There's nobody here but you and me, Adrian. Andrea, see, I read stuff backwards. There's only you and me here tonight. I mean, honestly, this is an extremely humbling opportunity, and I appreciate to be able to speak. We have 1,200 people tonight. I'm grateful to be able to speak to you guys about politics like this. But every time we speak, I try to enrich it a little bit more, because the politics alone is enough to keep you and go viral, and to kind of do on our side the same thing that they do on their side. The only difference is I do my due diligence to bring you truth, right? And I am so interested in you being aware of what's going on that I openly and candidly tell you exactly what I'm doing, right? I openly and candidly tell you when I put out videos that are clickbait, right? I design it that way. It's like a tabloid. Nobody else is going to tell you that, because they just want to collect your coins. Now, I'm going to collect your coins because I need you to watch it, but I want you to be aware of it, right? And the reason I'm saying this is because I respect the time that we have together. I genuinely respect the time that we have together. And like I said on a couple of episodes back, a couple weeks back, like, the more and more and more you're here listening to me, the more and more influence I have over you. And I just want to make sure that you understand that I understand that. And I want you to know that I respect that. And I respect that enough to be as open with you as I possibly can, so that you can make a conscious decision to say, I'm starting to sound like Ben Dixon and I don't want to, so let me cut him off. I would much rather people cut me off making the conscious decision to do. Listen, let me take these out of my ears. If I can't convince you of nothing else, I would have done my job. I promise you, I would have done my job if you were able to be listening to me, like what I'm saying, but then also say, yeah, but it's time for me to cut them off, so that I can clear my head and think for myself. Now, I don't want you all to do that at the same damn time, okay? Now, y'all take breaks from me, take breaks from me in cycles so I don't, ever fall off. But it is so important that you understand how powerful just somebody talking to you is. That's what makes Rush Limbaugh one of the most dangerous people in the history of this country, right? That's what makes talk radio one of the most powerful tools in the history of this country. Cable news, even more so. The only thing about cable news is that there's so much cable news, but it gives people direct access to your thinking space nonstop. And the biggest thing that we can do to move forward as a society, as a civilization, as a species, is to actively be aware of the different things that are competing to influence us. It's not just competing for our attention. It's about competing to influence us. Obviously, if we get your attention, we can influence you. But no. Their direct purpose is to influence you. So it would be the greatest. I would have done my job if at a certain point in our relationship, you're able to say, I appreciate what he says. I don't disagree with them, but it's time for me to move on because I don't want to just listen to. Now, again, don't y'all all leave at the same time. Y'all get a rotation. Work it out amongst yourselves. All right, let's get a couple more. There's more media. There's more content from today's hearing that I want to discuss. And there was a commercial with Anthony Fauci that Dr. Fauci did not appreciate. He did not appreciate the fact that Donald Trump used his name without his permission and took him out of context. We'll talk about that. I love this. Thank you for sharing this, Cheryl. She said, one of your podcast reviewers describes you as the Alex Jones of the left. I think they meant his direct opposite, i.e. he's batshit and you being so much sanity. I mean, like I said, folks, let me tell you. They look at me and think I'm the devil. Uh-oh, somebody's awake. Come on, where you going? You wanna go in mommy's room? You going? Okay, he's gone. They look at me and they see the devil. And here's why I don't give a damn about people trying to draw an equivalence between us and the right. I'm careful to always remind myself that I'm not inherently good and I'm not intrinsically or inherently right and that I could be wrong. That's what distinguishes me. That's number one. When I say me, I mean us. I need you to believe the same thing. I need you to not just assume just because we're leftists or Democrats or liberals or progressive, whatever you identify, you're not right just because you wear that label. And that act of humility is fundamentally different than the other side. So much so that if we stay constantly thinking and navel gazing about how can I be a better person? How can I be a better? It's a healthy routine. But if we keep doing it, then the people on the other side, they're going to seize on us and snatch away our freedoms. That's why I don't care about the false equivalences, because we know at the core of what we're fighting for is fundamentally different. We're not fighting for the opposite of what they're fighting for. They're fighting for domination. I'm fighting to make sure that every single person in this country has a baseline living. A place to live because we can afford it. Our country can afford to get rid of homelessness. We can afford to eradicate poverty, and you'll still have billionaires. We can afford to make sure that everybody gets a doctor, and you'll still have billionaires. We can afford to make sure everyone has an education, paid for through college, and you'll still have billionaires. And you could argue over the fifth one, whether it's universal basic income or whether it is making sure everyone has food. That's debatable. For me, I haven't made up my mind on that last fifth one, but I know the 5 things that I'm fighting for are so fundamentally different than what they're fighting for, because what they're fighting for is the ability to control you, to dominate you. I'm literally fighting for the ability for you to understand the influence that I have over you by you listening to me every single night, and why you should reject that. You should actively reject the influence that anybody has over you. Or at least examine it with an extreme critical eye. Maybe you reject it just long enough for you to examine it. So Alex Jones of the left sounds like a nice false equivalence, nice cliche to try to wrap in and say, oh, what they do on the left is the same as that. I need you to understand that I have undue influence over you because you listen to me every single night. And at some level, you need to reject me so that you can have the autonomy and the mental space to make up your own mind about these issues. Now, show me somebody on the right fighting for that. Because I know, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm confident if you are left to your own devices to make up your own mind in your own time, in your own way, with the same information that I had. I gathered the information myself. Nobody fed me information. I literally unplugged my TV for 2 years. Before I got married, I lived in an apartment, and I make it sound smarter than it was. It was just, I had one of those big box big screen TVs, and I lived on in a townhome. So the first thing you come in my door, you got to go up some steps, and I couldn't get that thing up the steps. So I just left it in the garage on the first floor. And for 2 years, I stayed in that apartment, and I did nothing but read. The best result of being lazy I've ever seen in my life, by the way, it's got to be the greatest example of laziness helping me. But yeah, 2 years. I went without television for 2 years. And yeah, I mean, that silence. There's nothing more. There's nothing more. The reason you need to cut me off. You need to cut me off long enough to hear your own voice. You got to. You have to cut off everybody long enough for you to hear your own voice. And this is what I'm confident in. I'm confident in the fact that if you hear your own voice, hear your own thoughts, hear thoughts that you don't even realize where they came from. They just epiphanies just out of nowhere. I'm so confident that you don't need me feeding you every night to come to the same conclusions that I've come to. Now, many of you have already taken that journey, which is probably why you're here. You're here because you're like, I've been thinking this my whole life, bruh. How you know what's in my head? It's because you took time to be silent and listen to yourself just like I did. And we are all coming with the same observations, with the same truths. And I'm so confident in that if you cut me off and you don't ever listen to me again, we can meet again in 10 years. And if you have had silence and no one interrupting you and no one trying to manipulate you and control you, I am so confident that you don't have to talk to me for 10 years. And in 10 years, we're going to meet up and we would have come to the same conclusions about our lives, civilization, humanity, existence. Some of you have already been there, and that's why you're probably here. For those of you who haven't, and I brought you in with the clickbait, I brought you in because you thought I was just going to sit here and attack Donald Trump the entire time. I do my due diligence. I think I have a moral responsibility with the platform I have, as big as I have, to attack Donald Trump every single second. I also have a moral responsibility with the platform I have to encourage you to not only vote, but phone bank, text bank, talk to people, encourage people to vote. Now, I want to sit here and talk to you about the philosophical musings, my side chair philosophy, and whatever is happening in the universe. I want to sit here and talk to you about that, but I have first and foremost the responsibility to use this platform and use my gifts to help everybody understand that we need all hands on deck to get rid of Donald Trump. And I also use my skill set to unpack the BS, because I'm allergic to BS. And so being allergic to BS, it's very easy for me to point it out, show you. So I do that. I bring you in some clickbait. We're going to talk about Donald Trump. Yeah, we do that. Now that we've done that, I need you to understand that the fundamental difference between what we're fighting for. When I say we, I can't speak for everybody. I'm saying we in this room, we, the 1,200 people who are left, we in this room, the fundamental difference between what we're fighting for is for you to have the freedom and the autonomy and the space to make up your mind about your own life. And whatever your decision is, whatever you come to, it's your business. That's progress. We're fighting against people who are saying, I have to control you 24 hours a day with nonstop anger from Fox News, from radio, from news radio, from podcasts, and all the way to conspiracy theories like Alex Jones. We got to tell you, the lizard people. They have to be. I don't want that from you. I don't want your undivided attention. My business needs your undivided attention, so please keep clicking on these videos, but I'm just going to be honest with you. you can never come back to this broadcast ever again. But if you successfully cut off all the noise, cut out everybody, turn down your music, listen to that deep rumbling that's going on in your head, there's just like, silence is loud. Okay. Silence is extremely loud. Listen to that silence, and I promise you, we can meet in 10 years and you're going to come up with the same exact results that I did. So why do I have to control you in the same way Fox News controls you? I don't. I want you to be free. Free to reject me, free to reject everybody, and listen to yourself. Why do I have to control you and manipulate you and make you furious and distracted and deranged like Alex Jones? I don't. I don't have to do that. I don't. And in fact, I want the exact opposite. I want you to be here because you've done. I would love to. Okay, now this is going to be kind of arrogant. I don't mean it that way, but I would love to listen to my program. I would love to hear somebody who has taken the time to turn off all the noise around them, turn off the noise of women or whatever your choice is. Like, turn off the noise of entertainment, turn off the noise of music, turn off the noise of politics, cut it all off. And the only thing that you have left is the silence. Is silence. And from that derive all that you believe. I would love to watch that program. So I think that's why you guys are here. So I don't have to keep going down that line. Yes. Can I help you, sweetie? Go ahead. I think your mother's going to send you back, but okay. Thank you, Savannah. Let's see. Let me see what I'm missing. I know there's a lot of other super chats. I want to do my due diligence to make sure that I get all of you. I like this from, actually, let me make sure I'm reading stuff in order. Hang on. Hey, loved it. Love it. Love it. Let me see. Okay, thank you. Terry Berry on Twitch caught the show on Sunday that was about evangelicals. I think you should go watch that. I grew up around evangelicals. I grew up as a Baptist, a Black Baptist, and we were adjacent to evangelicals, so I know them well. And I had a wonderful conversation with a professor from University of Pennsylvania discussing racism in evangelical circles, the Black prosperity gospel hustle, and how Christians have become particularly conservative Christians, are the villains of the end time prophecy. So I put that out yesterday. Be sure to check that out. Thank you for saying it. Streaming while working my union gig. Go Teamsters from John Awesome. That's pretty awesome. Andrea says, you can call me Andy or Andy A. Thank you, Andy. Lou Guy says, Ben, you're spot on about the combination of words. Wow, I just had a weird echo. It's like the structure. That was crazy. I had a weird echo in my ear, which kind of freaked me out. You're spot on about the combination of words and media. Thank you, Lou Guy. Got you. Okay, I see what you guys did here. Got that. Brad Mara said, thoughts on Noam Chomsky owning Virgil Texas and Brianna Joy Gray? I haven't seen it. I would like to see it. I definitely want to see that. I'm looking at a preview of it. I definitely want to see that. No, and what we'll do is we'll cut it up. So tomorrow, I think is going to be very meaningful. We'll chop it up and include it in the podcast or in the show tomorrow. Andrea said clickbaiting us to collective calm. Exactly. Got to reel you in. Got to throw your net out on the ocean and reel you in. This is from Infinite Content on YouTube. He said, Ben, no vaccine coming by election day. Johnson & Johnson halted their COVID-19 vaccine trials. AstraZeneca previously did as well. Yeah, I don't doubt that. That is without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, we're in this for the long haul, folks. We might be in this. I'm just thinking I might be 41. It's possible I could be 42 when we come out of this. I just turned 40. Let's take a look at a couple of clips. Let's go back to some politics. Because, you know, I could always use politics to jump off. Into a more meaningful conversation. But I do suggest that, folks. I had 2 years without television. I cut the radio off in my car whenever I drove to work. And I was in South Florida at the time, so driving to work meant at least a 45-minute drive. So I had a silent drive every day. No television at home. All I did was I read some books occasionally, but reading is another way that person can have an immense impact on your thinking. But I limited my inputs. And I'd always heard my voice, but I started to hear so much more. I can't tell you how valuable that is. That is so invaluable. It is unbelievable. All right, let's go back to this politics thing. Here we go.
I'm worried about one thing above all else right now, and it's our health. This hearing itself is a microcosm of Trump's dangerous ineptitude in dealing with the COVID pandemic. Trump can't even keep the White House safe. Here it's the chairman's job to see to the committee's safety. And though his words were reassuring, I don't know who has been tested, who should be tested, who is a danger, what contact tracing has been done on infected and exposed senators and staff. Nothing. The whole thing, just like Trump, is an irresponsible botch. The irony is that this slapdash hearing targets the Affordable Care Act. This Supreme Court nominee has signaled in the judicial equivalent of all caps that she believes the Affordable Care Act must go and that the precedent protecting the ACA doesn't matter. The big secretive influences behind this unseemly rush see this nominee as a judicial torpedo they are firing at the ACA. So I hope Republicans consider what's at stake for the many people who depend right now in this pandemic on ACA health coverage.
Great clip, and I'm glad he put it into that context. Sometimes when you put it into too broad of a context, people can get lost. Like I say that she wants to undo the entirety of the 20th century. That's too broad. I appreciate what Senator Whitehouse said there, because people need to understand the very first thing that this is going to impact, because right after Election Day in November comes around a Supreme Court case about the Affordable Care Act. And I hate talking about politics, but here we go. Let me break down something to you guys that you probably already know, but I want you to see. I'm going to break down something to you that you probably already know, but I want you to tie it directly to how sociopathic Republicans are. The Affordable Care Act is a Republican idea. It was first conceived by the Heritage Foundation, first put into practice by Mitt Romney in Massachusetts when he was governor of Massachusetts. It's now called, I forgot the official name, but the nickname is Romney Care. First time I lived in Massachusetts, we were on Romney Care. The Republicans are so committed to political dominance, and the Republicans were so outflanked on the right by Barack Obama, by him, instead of pursuing Medicare for all in 2009 when he got inaugurated as president, he said, I tell you what we can do. Let's take a conservative idea and expand that with a Medicaid expansion. They tried a public option. That was dead on arrival thanks to Joe Lieberman. But let's expand it and let's create let's take a Republican idea and put it into practice so that we could have some bipartisan support for this bill. And you know what Republicans did? You were here. You remember. They lost their damn minds. They fought it as if it was an idea from the devil. They fought it if it was an idea from Karl Marx himself, from Mao himself. They fought it as if it was the most egregious government takeover and socialization of socialized healthcare. They fought it as if, Fidel Castro himself had come to the United States and said, take this healthcare. So they've been fighting it like that ever since. This is a conservative idea that they fight against like it came from the devil himself. And they've been fighting it this hard for 10 years. Why? Because it's about political power. It is about the fact that they must have an enemy. Let me give you an example. Me and my wife, we don't have many arguments, right? We had an argument this weekend, or we had a thing. It happens. Don't worry about it. It happens to everybody. I had to pause and ask my wife, because we solved it almost as quickly as it came. We solved it. And one of the ways I solve these types of arguments is I neutralize them. And I neutralize them by doing my best to first and foremost overcome my assholery. I could probably neutralize 10 out of 10 confrontations by first grabbing hold of the fact and accepting the fact that I'm an asshole, bringing that in, and then once I have reeled in my asshole, I could then be kind, I could be gentle, and then I can, logicize my way through it and bring her along. And then I had to ask her, I said, like, when I do that, does it make you angry? And she was like, yes, because I want to be angry. And there you are being kind and understanding, and you trying to help figure out the situation, blah. And she's like, and sometimes I just want to be angry. I get it. But that's all I know. That's all I know how to do, really, right? I can't afford to get angry all the time, because when I get angry, I go like 20, and all I had to do was go 10, but I go like 20. And so I was like, okay, hey, we got some Raiders. I see some Raiders. I'm going to check you guys out in a second. Let me finish this thought. Thank you. I see you. We're going to give you a shout out. But I don't want to lose my train of thought. I'm getting old. So the point is like I neutralize. What Barack Obama tried to do to the Republican Party by accepting a conservative idea, by accepting the Affordable Care Act, which was built and modeled off of the Heritage Foundation, which was first tested, which is a conservative think tank, which was first put into practice by Mitt Romney, who's a Republican in Massachusetts, right? What Obama thought he was going to do was neutralize the opposition by giving them something that he thought they believed in. Obama thought Republicans believed in the Affordable Care Act framework because it was their idea. Here's where he was wrong. I hate to say it, but here's where he was naive. The same place I was naive and, got taken to the bank a couple of times. It happens to the best of us. I'm not trying to slam, because I know probably everybody in the room, 50% of the people in the room just love Obama. I'm not trying to slam you, boy. He was naive because he didn't realize he was never going to be able to satisfy conservatives, because their entire point is to always have an enemy. It's to always have somebody to villainize, to vilify, to always have somebody to dehumanize. They don't have anything without that. They don't have an agenda without that. They don't have an agenda without being able to make you hate Muslims, being able to hate Mexicans, being able to hate immigrants, being able to hate the LGBTQ community, being able to hate Black Lives Matter, being able to hate George Soros, being able to hate anybody. That's all they have. And so Obama thought, hey, I know it. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to look at Romney Care from Massachusetts, and we are going to just expand it to make sure that more people. He thought he was going to be able to neutralize them. And Republicans said, no, champ, we can be mad about anything. We can hate you we will hate you and fight you for the last 10 years just because we want to hate you. And if that means we have to turn on the very thing that we created. The Affordable Care Act is a conservative creation, but that's fine. They say, listen, you can't neutralize us by taking this idea and trying to implement and be bipartisan and trying to reach across the aisle and make this work. They said, I almost spoke in my native tongue, and I realized that would be a horrible thing to use the N-word in reference to Republicans talking about Obama. So I had to catch myself. But they said, brother, please. You think we actually want to work across the aisle? You think we really want bipartisanship? You think just because you take a conservative idea that's based on free market principles and that is going to give windfall profits and it's going to make the insurance companies and the CEOs and executives richer than they ever were before. It is a perfectly conservative idea. You think just because you reach across the aisle to do that you're going to neutralize us and that we're going to get along and that the argument that you had this weekend is going to go away, the fight that you just had with you think you're going to be able to do that? Conservatives have been fighting President Obama on their own idea, their own baby. They have betrayed their own beliefs and they have been fighting President Obama for the last 10 years. Why? Because if they don't have an enemy, they ain't got shit. They have no policies. If they don't have an enemy, and they had to make an enemy out of their own idea. Now, I just did that whole 20-minute spiel to tell you that is a level of sociopathy that will destroy humanity. The fact that Republicans are willing to take their own child, their own creation, their own baby. The Affordable Care Act is a conservative framework built by the Heritage Foundation, first tested by Mitt Romney. The fact that Republicans have committed the last 10 years trying to repeal it over 60 times, bringing it to the Supreme Court over and over again. The fact that they have committed the last 10 years of all of our lives for them to carry out a grudge that's based in bad faith because they don't want to work with anybody. They need to dominate everybody. And this is the perfect example because they are so committed to having a villain and to vilify everybody that is not in their party that they will sacrifice their own child. They will kill their own idea, their own creation. Who is so committed to their disingenuousness? Who is so committed to their hustle, to their scam, that they will kill their own children? Guess who? Donald Trump. Donald Trump would kill all of his followers just to maintain. That's how he was able to win. Because he sold the game that Republicans were running and said, that's my shit. I like that. That's how I operate. Watch me operate even better. All right, let's go to these. They will kill their own children, their own, conceptually, their own child, their idea. They will, the only child that they won't kill, the only child, their own conception that they won't kill would be capitalism itself. They would never kill that, right? That's their God. That's not their child. That's their God. So they can't kill their gods, but they will kill their children. The Affordable Care Act is a child of the conservative movement, and they have committed the last 10 years to kill it simply because they never intended on engaging in good faith with Obama or anybody in the first place. That's a good clip. Cut that clip for me, producers. Let's go to your comments. Christian Woods on YouTube says, great work. Love when you're on TYT. I'll actually be on TYT again Wednesday. I'll be hosting the conversation on Wednesday, so check that out. $27 rated us with a party of 46. Shout out to $27, which is clearly a reference to the average donation given to Bernie Sanders in 2016. So shout out to you all over there. I appreciate it. And then one day we're going to return the favor when you least expect it. All right. So thank you all for coming in. Everybody who's on Twitch with me, make sure that you check them out as soon as our stream is done. After we do our raid tonight, speaking of raid, let's start gathering together and tell me who you all want to raid. We're almost at the end. So let's figure out where we're going. This is Grantee Boy 1888 says, we all too often have socialism for the rich and rugged individual, free market capitalism for the poor. It's a quote from Dr. King. Jeanette Hester said, nobody is perfect. None of our presidents were perfect, and none will ever be. Stop expecting what's never going to happen. I don't disagree. Not entirely sure what that's in reference to, but I agree with you. Dustin Brown said, share something beautiful on Super Chat. Okay. Great. Oh, somebody said, let's give this a shout out. Crazy Hawaiian PA said $27 is fire. Well, we definitely got to go check out the content. I love it. I love it. Let's see. Okay, it started off as a really good comment, but thanks for making this mess all a little easier to handle. From Paul C. Let me see if I can just put that on the screen. Boom and boom. Paul C. G. Giacob? I don't know. Paul says, thanks for making all this mess a little bit easier to handle. Well, that's the thing, man. Like, you know, I do this for community more than anything else, I think. You know, I like to hear myself talk, obviously. I like to hear myself talk. I used to hate my voice. But the real reason I do it is because of the community. So, speaking of community, everybody take a few seconds. Hang on. Let me put this back up. I want to give all the shout outs I can see to $27 for coming in the room. Welcome. Make yourself at home. Let's take a few seconds because it is about community. I'm going to play a little. I don't know if I have my music. I had to reinitiate my entire computer today, so I don't think I even have my music anymore. So without music, just kind of greet yourselves amongst yourselves. Say hello to somebody. Reach out. Give them a high five, a virtual high five. Give them, a virtual hug. Tell them that tell them that you're concerned about them. You care about them. Be kind. Show a kindness. I'm gonna go re-up on this tea real quick. Oh, let me cut it off first because it's loud. Did everybody meet somebody new? Who's left? Let's see where we're left. We still got 1,000 people. I dig it. I always love it. At the end of the night, we have a whole crew of people left. Make sure everybody met somebody. Nobody should be unspoken to. Everybody. It's so much easier online. Just say hello to everybody. Just say hello all. Hello from Dallas. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, come on. High five to all. I like this. Andrea says, y'all hit that like button. Can I get it on the screen? The election is right a few weeks away. Who all is early voted? Everybody show of hands. Oh, hey, there it is. There he is. $27 in the house. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. Appreciate you. Appreciate the raid. Appreciate it. Much love. Wisconsin is in the house. Wisconsin. Robert said he's early voted. Great. Hands are up. Pauline Fonders on Facebook. You guys are blowing. It's going by fast. Okay, great. Glad to see somebody. Gotta see most everybody looks like they have early voted. All right, let's play this last clip. I have one last clip I want to get in. This is from Senator Hawley, and this is from today's, and I want to see what they're talking about. Let's listen in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge Barrett, welcome. It's good to see you again. Jesse Barrett, welcome, and to you and to your family as well. I see that some of your children are getting a break. They've earned it, I think. I'm amazed as I've been watching. I've got 2 little boys at home, my wife and I do. I can't believe how calmly your children have been sitting for a couple of hours. So maybe you can give me some tips, Jesse and Judge, when we're finished here. You know, we've gotten to read a lot about your family in the last few weeks. We've gotten to read a lot about you in the press, and in particular about your religious beliefs. One attack after another in the liberal media, one hit piece after another, many of them echoed by members of this committee, like this one, for instance, Barrett, long active with Insular Christian Group. We've read We've read stories about your Catholic lifestyle, stories about how you raise your children, stories about how you adopted your children, stories about your Catholic doctrinal beliefs, over and over and over, questioning whether you have, I guess, the independence to be a judge, a justice on the United States Supreme Court. And it's not just in the newspapers, it's members of this committee, including the Democratic nominee for Vice President of the United States, who has questioned past nominees who have come before this committee about their membership in Catholic fraternal organizations like the Knights of Columbus. And for those watching at home, that's right, you heard me correctly. Senator Harris and others on this committee have repeatedly questioned judicial nominees' fitness for office because of their membership in the Knights of Columbus. The ranking member, when you were last before this committee, Judge, for your initial confirmation hearings, the ranking member referred to your Catholic convictions as dogma, that's a quote, that lives loudly within you, picking up the very terminology of anti-Catholic bigotry current in this country a century ago. She wasn't alone. Other senators on this committee last time asked you if you were an Orthodox Catholic. One senator said she worried that you would be a Catholic judge if you were confirmed because of your religious beliefs, I guess, as opposed to an American judge, as if you can't be both a devout Catholic and a loyal American.
Okay, that's a good place for me to cut, because is he going to say the same thing about Muslims? No. They would question it. We should question all fundamentalism. Period. We got to question all fundamentalism. Question it and don't apologize. Don't let this is a technique that they use to make you back off of your most important argument. No, absorb their BS and question the hell out of it. Now, the truth is that they have the majority. They're going to confirm her. She's going to be a justice on the bench, and we're going to have to fight against her attempt to dominate society based on her fundamentalism for the next 40 years, 30 to 40 years, however old. We are going to be dealing with her as long as they dealt with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And again, I want to emphasize here at this point that there is no equivalence between her and Ginsburg, because what Ginsburg was trying to do in her own way was she was trying to expand, when appropriate, expand the rights of the Constitution to as many individuals as possible. What Coney Barrett is going to do is actively contract those rights. So there is no equivalence. I just use that reference of RGB or RBG. I use that reference so that you can understand how long we're going to be fighting against this religious zealot. And I say that as a Christian. I say that with the confidence of being able to look at this clip. I'm sorry. I'm going to bring it up again. I'm going to cut off the audio.
And it's not just you, Judge. Other
I'm sorry. I have the ability. But I can look at this clip and I can see, she is going to be the most fierce opponent to our collective freedom. And she's going to be the most fierce advocate for the domination of religious zealotry that we have ever seen in our lifetimes. Now, there's nothing we can do about it because the conservatives have, well, there's one thing that we could do about it, and I actually believe Joe Biden might do it. We need to pack the courts. We have to neutralize. We have to water down the impact of her religious zealotry. The reason I say I can see it, I want to put it in context of my religious faith. I'm a Christian. My father was a pastor for 41 years before he passed away. I am an active participant in my church. I talked to my pastor yesterday. He wants me to help him with a project. I am that active in my church. Okay? I'm a believer. I know a lot of people like, well, yeah, well, I mean, I am who I am, but I'm a believer. And I'm very, very serious about my faith. I give you that so that you can get my bona fides. When I say in our faith, it tells us to try a spirit by the Spirit. To look at a person and identify with them, not with what they're saying, but what you could feel. And I feel from her, based on my Christianity. Now, it's all, to some of my friends, my atheist friends, my many, many atheist friends are like, oh God, what are you even talking about? I'm just letting you know that as a Christian, I can see that she is going to be the most detrimental person on that court for years to come, precisely because of her religious background, because of her religious dogma that is rooted in fundamentalism. You could believe whatever you want to believe, but if your fundamentalism dictates that you control what I believe, then we got a problem, and we should talk about it. There is a vein of Christianity in this country, just like there's a vein to every single religion, that is not satisfied with being free to worship the way they want to worship. It is not satisfied until they can bring down the kingdom of God to control the United States of America. I'm telling you that because I've been around these people. I'm telling you that because I've heard the sermons. I'm telling you that not to be hyperbolic, but I know these people. I've gone to church with these people. I've watched their movies. I watched their televangelism. I've seen them. I used to watch John Hagee I watched John Hagee every single Sunday for my teenage years. So when I tell you I know this from experience, that there is a vein of Christianity, which includes Catholicism. And it's funny how Republicans act like, oh, they're trying to attack you for your Catholicism. What the hell did you guys do to John Kennedy? John F. Kennedy? You all attacked him because he was Catholic. Oh, disingenuous bastards. But the point is there is a vein of Christianity, whether Protestant or Catholicism, that is not satisfied with the freedom that they have in this country to practice their faith the way they believe. Because the way they believe, what they believe, is that they have to dominate society for their faith. And Amy Coney Barrett is a part of that. That's what she's a part of. That's what she believes. That is the foundation of her belief. And you could see it all over her. You could see it all over. Give me a break. You could call it discernment. You could call it game recognized game. You could call it I just got a hunch about her. I call it, based on my faith, is try the spirit by the Spirit. But bruh, I can see it all over her. Not just based on her background, where she comes. We are going to be fighting again. This is the T. We're going to be fighting against her religious zealotry on this court for the next 30 years. And she will happily do everything that she does and disguise it. She will disguise it as being an originalist interpretation. See, let me go back to this one other thing. They're trying to keep you from they're trying to scare you away from critiquing her based on her religious dogma, because that's her biggest weakness. Literally, that's the number one thing people should be afraid of. And again, I hate it when people say, you know, as a white male, I have to say this, or as a mother of 3 kids, I just say that. Well, I hate when people say it, but let me say it. As a Christian, let me assure you, you need to be concerned about Amy Coney Barrett's religious fundamentalism. So do not let Republicans push you off of that line of argument because it is a direct threat to your freedoms. Because her religious fundamentalism says that she must help bring down the kingdom of God to America and dominate this. It's actually called dominionism. Dominate this society in the name of Jesus. And the way they are going to accomplish it is by saying that this is an originalist interpretation of the Constitution, or this Roe versus Wade is not an originalist interpretation of the Constitution. Just ask yourself the question. Who was America in the originalist Constitution being created for? Wasn't being created for women. Wasn't being created for poor white folks, even though y'all still out here trying to protect and cap on behalf of the system that left you out. It wasn't being made on behalf of slaves. The Constitution wasn't being made on behalf of anybody except for white Christian men. And that's what they're trying to take us back to. That's what Amy Coney Barrett is fighting for. And she's going to do it with the precision of an Ivy League educated legal scholar, with justifying everything that she does through the lens of an originalist interpretation of the Constitution. But in the backdrop, she's executing her religious dogma to bring the kingdom of God to America. Let's see what y'all talking about. The blonde white Jesus cult. Facts. Yep. Anastasia Beaverhouse. Thank you. She said, as an ex-Muslim, all the fundamentalists of any religion is bad news, especially when in power. Period. Period. Anyone who feels like they have to dominate you. See, this is the weakness of liberalism. Okay? I'm not talking about liberalism in the sense of conservatives versus liberals. I'm not talking about Republicans. I'm talking about the philosophy of liberalism. Think of it not in terms of America, but think in terms of liberalism across the globe. One of the weaknesses of liberalism is that it believes in plurality. It believes in a diversity of opinions, diversity of beliefs. It believes that we should all just get along with some fundamental rights and protections and equal justice under the law. Believing that, genuinely believing that we should allow in society people who we disagree with. I believe it's a noble trait, but I also recognize that it is a weakness, because you're fighting against people who don't believe that shit. Okay? You're fighting against people who don't believe that you should be able to disagree with them and be allowed in this society. And that is amplified when you throw in religious dogma. Not only do they not believe that you should be able to disagree with them and live your life as free as they do. They don't believe that. They reject that. They reject that notion. But they also believe that you're an infidel, a sinner, a heretic, the scourge. You're Satan's child. You're lost. You need to be saved. And the only way they can save you is not by convincing. Who's got time to convince all these people? The way they're going to save you is by changing the laws so that if you break the law and you sin, they could put you in jail. The weakness of liberalism, while I think it's noble, it leaves you vulnerable, because while we are liberals, not American liberals, not democratic liberals per se, some, but not specifically, the idea of plurality, the idea of coexistence, the idea of living amongst people who you disagree with, instead of locking them up and throwing them in the gulags, instead of making what you decide is their sin to be illegal, so now you can lock them up. That's who you're fighting against. The weakness is while we over here who are liberals are navel gazing about how beautiful it is, because I will fight. I might disagree with you, but I will fight to the death to make sure that you can believe what you believe. I'm mocking that sentiment, even though I agree with that sentiment, but I'm mocking it because the person that you're fighting on behalf of to make sure that they can believe what they believe, even though they disagree with you, you're telling them, I would fight to the death. Even though we disagree, I would fight to the death to make sure you have the right to believe it. Meanwhile, they will fight to the death to lock you up because you don't agree with them. Specifically because you don't agree with them. You're fighting to the death on behalf of them. They're fighting to the death to stop you. You're fighting to the death to make sure they have the right to fight to the death to stop you. Who wins? That's the problem with liberalism. Not Democratic Party liberalism as it's defined by the United States, but I'm talking about liberalism as an organizing tool, as a belief system in terms of like plurality versus totalitarianism, right? Liberals believe that we should fight to the. I believe it too, but you know what? Here's a catch. I believe that we should fight to the death for everybody to be free and live their life as they see fit. But as soon as I spot somebody who's willing to fight to the death to stop me from being free, I got to get them. Game's up. We've been nice. We tried the kumbaya stuff, but now you're in our society and you're trying to destroy our society, so I got to destroy you first. Liberals, in this current iteration of liberalism, and again, make sure you understand, I'm not talking about liberals in the Democratic Party, MSNBC. I'm talking about as an organizing on a global level. Liberals have been more interested in satisfying themselves with saying, I fought for somebody and I didn't agree with them, but I fought to the death for them. They've been satisfied with that, and they haven't peeped game that fascists have been plotting on them using that vulnerability to gain as much power as they have now, to the point where now they're going to put a theocratic fascist on the bench. Damn right I've referred to it. She's a theocratic fascist. And she's going to write it so eloquently. It's going to be with the best legalese and legal prose imaginable. And she's going to wrap it in originalism. So it's going to sound like a coherently legal theory. But the coherent legal theory that we simply accept in this country is one that takes us back to a time where the only people who had rights in this country were white Christian men. I'm on my game tonight, y'all. I am on my game. Christo-fascism, thank you. That's exactly what it is. Dave said, you can protect the rights of all and still resist evil. Liberals don't get this. And again, I want to make sure people understand we're not talking about just ye old American liberals. I'm talking about a particular subset of it, because again, like people call me a socialist, but my socialist friends call me a liberal, right? My communist friends definitely call me a liberal because I believe in democracy. Democracy is a liberal idea. It is liberalism, right? But you gotta be willing to fight like hell to stop people from destroying your society. You can't be just so excited about fighting on their behalf. You got to recognize that the person you're fighting on behalf of is trying to kill you. All right, we are at 1:45 and I need to get into bed because I'm going to be up running in the morning. Let me read these last few. Let's get the raid ready. Tech Dave said there should be no religious test for office. Judges too. Come on. Like, you almost made me malfunction. It's like my brain was starting to sound like my computer did this morning. Dude. That's exactly what I've been describing. There shall be no religious test for office. I'm sorry, but if your religious zealotry and your religious dogma and your fundamentalism is going to directly threaten the rights of 330 million people, I'm glad you're good. You want to be good, be a Christian. But you cannot be on this. If you can't recognize the difference between a religious test for office and making sure that you're not putting in a religious zealot who will bring down the entire office, then you are lost. You are so lost and this country has no chance of standing. This country has no chance whatsoever of surviving if you cannot successfully delineate between a religious test for office that says, oh, you have to be a Christian. You have to be a Catholic. You have to be a Muslim. Because guess what? She's going to implement her own religious test. Do you not know that bringing the dominionism, the dominionism theology that is at the core of this movement in America, full of religious zealots, they will make laws that will require you not to be a Christian in order to get office, but to be a Christian in order to not be arrested. As a Christian, I'm warning y'all. I want to look you directly in the face and warn you that the religious zealotry that is at the core of the fundamentalist right-wing Christian movement in this country will not stop until America is a theocracy, a totalitarian theocratic state that requires your faithfulness. And they'll justify it in the name of originalism. They will justify it. They will write it in with the most beautiful prose, with the most beautiful rhetoric, with the most beautiful dissents and the most beautiful decisions and agreement. They will convince you that this is the most robust legal decision that you ever heard. But at the core of it, it's going to strip every right away from you that they don't agree with. It is a level of commitment I tell you what, all you got to do is watch her work, and then watch her work, and then come see me. Come see me. Because I want you to be sure of something. The most effective weapon for patriarchy will be religious fundamentalist women. Women who actively and urgently believe in the hierarchical nature that puts God first, men, particularly white Christian men, second, and then the wife underneath them. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of women who believe that that is the hierarchy that should be demonstrated not just in the home, but in the law. And if you cannot handle the cognitive dissonance of understanding that there should be no religious test for office, but also hold in your mind that there are religious zealots who, if they get power and they use that power, would destroy our society, then you are most assuredly not equipped to fight in the year of our Lord 2020. In fact, you are exactly the type of person that will help theocratic fascism take over this country. I gotta go to bed. Amy C3 says, hi. Hey, Amy C3, thank you for, we rated you the other night. Glad we could do it. Who are we rating tonight? I'm done. I see GXG platform. Okay, David, are you logged in? Can you do it or do you need me to do it? Because I see somebody try to log in and they got kicked out. I'm right here. I'll do it. Show's over. Or I don't like to call this a show. The hangout is over. You guys could come and go running with me. Oh, let me give you this. Every morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, really it's at 6:15. Like we get together, we organize, and then we go virtually running. We start at 6 to organize, and then we start virtually running at 6:15. Here's what we're doing. We originally, because it was just catchy, we originally called it Running with the Fellas. Me being me, I was like, okay, I like that name, but let's make it all inclusive. So we're calling it We Moving. We Moving. And it's for anyone, any gender, any orientation, any race, it don't matter. It don't matter because Running with the Fellas makes you think it's only for men. So we threw that out, tossed that out. And we changed it from running to moving because some people can't run. And we just want you to move your body. Just move your body. Like I honestly could not run. 2 months ago was a month and a half ago was my first time running a mile in 10 years. I'm up to 2 miles now, right? So I'm not even where I need to be. But because I didn't want to limit people who couldn't run, and some people are unable to run, like we want to expand it and be as inclusive as possible. So if you want to join us and we have music that plays, you could just dance with us while we're running. Some people are going to be dancing. Some people are going to be bicycling. Some other people might, and I swear to you, all jokes aside, I was so bad off at the beginning of this pandemic that my very first day exercising, all I could literally do was this. Okay. This was my first day of exercise. I swear on everything. So if you come in there and you just move your arms, just move your arms. If you want to join in, I asked my moderators if you will put this link in the description. Now, I haven't updated the link. Okay. The link is still Running with the Fellas. Go and register. I'm trying because my schedule's busy by like runningwiththefellas.com. Runningwiththefellas, FELLAS.com. By tomorrow or by the next day, I'm going to have it fixed to something like whatever, to the new one, whatever we decide on. But it's all inclusive, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Latino, whatever. It doesn't matter if you are a woman, a man, non-gender conforming individual, come on. If you're able or disabled, but you can move, whatever works, whatever you move, we're moving. And it's just another community spot. It's just another point of contact for us to be in community with each other. You could join us on the Zoom. Don't join us, or actually, no, you could join us on the Zoom and keep your camera off because we'll be live streaming it. So if you don't want anybody to see you, just keep your camera off. Just listen to the music and realize that or you could just watch it on the live stream, but I want you moving too. I'm not turning this into a health and fitness thing. I just know if we're all locked down the way we're locked down, like I said, at the beginning of the pandemic, all I literally could do was this. I didn't even move my legs. because I had so much pain in my upper back and my shoulders. Like I honestly couldn't hold my arms out without them hurting. So that's why I don't want to be exclusive to people who can run, because hell, I could barely walk at the beginning of this pandemic. That said, we're getting ready to do this raid. Go to runningwiththefellas.com. It is a Zoom page. You're registering for a Zoom meeting. You'll get an email that says with all the details, and there's a link in there, a blue link. Click on the blue link that says join this meeting or something. You know how to use Zoom. All right, let's do this. Let's do this raid. We're done. We're done. Good night, everybody. Good night. I see people leaving. Good night, Betty. Good night, Yvette. Good night, Enoch. I see you, fam. Let's go to the live stream. Let's do this raid, baby. Y'all ready? How many people left in here? Twitch. I like this part of the night. This is wild. Oh, you must have already done the raid. Here you go. Let me see my messages from my producers. They must have already done it. Pardon me. Raid is done. Thanks, Jason Deck. I see a live. Ooh, that's loud. I see you sent me a fist bump on YouTube. Thank you for that. While I'm here, let me just go through, see if I left any super chats uncovered. Are there any super chats uncovered? Oh, I left out a couple of good ones. I'm sorry. I'm glad I didn't. Gio Francois. Thank you for that super chat. Then we have Dustin Brown said, I filled out my ballot and I'm returning it in Orange County, South Carolina tomorrow. Bye, Lindsay. Get his ass. Franco said, just drove home from work and got to watch you from the beginning and want to put $5 on it. Franco, thank you. That's love, man. I appreciate that. Robert M said, Progressive Vote Guide website, make it easy to vote. Thank you, Robert. Nefti Boricua said, many of us in Minnesota voted early. Awesomeness. Shannon Kona said, Dems helped McConnell fast track a bunch of right-wing judges last year. That's because Dems are not prepared for this fight, but maybe they learned their lesson with Amy Coney Barrett. I think some of them learned their lesson, to be honest with you. Nepthi Barika said, Dominion theology, also known as dominionism, is a group of Christian political ideologies that seek to institute a nation governed by Christians based on their understandings of biblical law. Extents of rule and ways of achieving governing authority are varied. There should be no religious test for office, but there's got to be a sober and a furious debate and all hands on deck to stop religious zealots and fundamentalists from obtaining power and fundamentally transforming this nation into something that only benefits white Christian men. And the fact that we don't have anybody in the Senate saying that, I miss Kamala today, so maybe she said it. Actually, I missed a couple of them. I'm sure somebody pointed that out. I hope somebody pointed that out. Crazy Hawaiian gave up another tier 1 sub to Dogface Pony Soldier. 5 subs that Crazy Hawaiian and PA gave away. Thank you for the love. Mean Beans. Amy C said hello. Thank you. And I think that's everybody. All hearts and minds are clear. Love you all. I will see you in the morning. Runningwiththefellas.com. Register. By Wednesday, it's going to be we moving. Whether you run, whether you're a fella, whether you're straight, whether you're gay, whether you're black, whether you're white, abled, disabled, if you can move something, if you could just listen to the music and just be there in solidarity, I want you to be a part of it, because we need to keep our spirits up, and that's just another point of contact. That's all. All right, see you guys later. Peace.